In the 1630s, a single flower bulb could cost more than a house. People traded away their savings, their land, even their livelihoods for tulips. And then, almost overnight, the whole thing collapsed. This is the story of history's most famous financial bubble. Picture the Netherlands in the early 1600s, one of the richest places on earth. Dutch merchants dominated global trade. Money was flowing, and a wealthy middle class was hungry for beautiful, fashionable things to show off their success. Into this booming society came a relatively new and exotic import from the East, the tulip, with its bold, vivid colors. Unlike any native European flower, the tulip quickly became the ultimate status symbol. But some tulips were far more prized than others. The most coveted had dramatic streaks and flames of color swirling across their petals, patterns of stunning, unpredictable beauty. What no one knew at the time was that these striking patterns were actually caused by a virus infecting the plant. That made them rare, unpredictable, and almost impossible to reproduce reliably. And rarity, as always, drove desire. The prices for these special bulbs began to climb, and then they began to soar. By the mid-1630s, tulip trading had become a frenzy. Bulbs changed hands again and again at ever higher prices, often before they'd even been dug out of the ground. People weren't buying flowers to plant, they were buying contracts, betting that the price would keep rising so they could sell to someone else for more. According to the popular accounts, the most prized bulbs reached truly staggering sums, said to rival the cost of a grand house on an Amsterdam canal. Ordinary craftsmen reportedly gambled everything, convinced they were about to get rich. And then, in early 1637, it all came apart. At a routine bulb auction, buyers suddenly failed to appear. Prices, which had only ever gone up, wobbled, and then confidence evaporated. Panic spread. Everyone rushed to sell at once, and the value of the bulbs collapsed almost instantly. Contracts that had promised fortunes were now worthless. People who had traded real money and property for pieces of paper were left holding flowers worth a tiny fraction of what they'd paid. Now, here's an important twist. The classic version of this story, that all of Holland went mad and the economy was ruined, has been challenged by modern historians. Much of the wildest imagery actually comes from moralizing pamphlets written afterward, meant to warn people about greed. In reality, the mania was largely confined to a smaller circle of traders, and the broader Dutch economy carried on. So the tale we've inherited is part history, part cautionary fable. But even the sober version is remarkable, because the basic pattern is undeniably real. And that pattern is exactly why Tulip Mania still matters. Whether or not it was as extreme as legend claims, it became the world's go-to symbol for the speculative bubble. The moment when the price of something detaches completely from its real value, driven purely by the belief that someone else will pay even more. We've seen it echo again and again, in stocks, in housing, in digital coins. Every generation, it seems, has its own tulip. Nearly 400 years ago, a beautiful flower taught the world an expensive lesson about greed, hype, and the madness of crowds. And judging by history, it's a lesson we're still busy relearning.